Alright guys, today I'm going to go over Firestarter 17, Firestarter 18. That's going to cover a lot of the stuff from your blue paper. So Firestarter 17, Firestarter 18 both had questions from your review worksheet. So if you're struggling on your review worksheet, this is going to help with a lot of that. So Firestarter 17 is all angle relationships. So if you don't remember about angle relationships, so I just put up there, this is from the hint page. So I'm really only focusing on this little piece of the hint page. Where it says angle relationships. Remember, all the time, you don't have to have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. So remember, on right here, this is two parallel lines cut by and this is the transversal. These are three parallel lines, so it's obviously if you have three parallel lines, you have two parallel lines. This is the transversal, or this could be considered a transversal for these two other lines. So, like on these two over here, it could be any of these, and it could also be any of these. It just depends on which one it is. On this one and this one, the first two over here on the left, it has to be all the time because I don't have two parallel lines cut by a transversal, so I don't really have a choice on what to use there. So I'm going to look at number 5, and I see that they are across from each other. So I call that across the street. Remember, that's vertical angles. So remember, I want you to do multiple things when we do this type of problem. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to tell me that vertical angles are congruent. That's the geometry. All right, so I just wrote vertical angles are congruent. If you say they're congruent, then you're going to do the math next, and you're going to say that this piece right here, 8x plus 3, equals this piece right here. Because I said the word congruent, right? Because I use congruent, I say piece equals piece. And now I'm just going to solve. So I'm going to put all my x's on one side, so I'm going to minus 8x from both sides. I end up with 3 equals x minus 6. Now I'm going to add 6 to both sides. This is just, now we're just doing algebra. I end up with x equals 9. So step 1, right? Step 2, we'll call it B. Step 3, I have to put I have to put 9 in right there. So I'm going to say 8 times, right here, 9. So 8 times 9 is 72. 72 plus 3 is 75 degrees. So the left side, I plug it in. I end up with 75 degrees. Now I'm doing the same thing with the right side. 9 times 9 is 81. 81 minus 6, 75 degrees. See how they're the same? Good to go. All right. Now number 6. 6, obviously they're not vertical angles because vertical angles are just as a pair. All right. Complementary, if I saw complementary, so I'm just kind of going through my list and see what it could be. Vertical angles, no. Complementary angles, that'd be if I see like a right angle symbol somewhere, which I don't see. So I'm probably not going to have complementary angles. Supplementary angles, that'd be like a linear pair is a good example of supplementary angles. There's other ways of supplementary angles. If they tell you the word supplementary, but linear pair would be like one line. So really the only option that's left is all the way around it. And usually any time we have more than 2, it's going to be all the way around. Not all the time, but most of the time. So I'm going to put my geometry, I'm going to say all the way around. Now this is not the geometric best way to explain it. It's really more 2 sets of supplementary angles, or there's a lot better way to say that geometrically, but I like this. All the way around equals 360 degrees. So that means I'm going to say this piece, 206, plus this piece, 2x minus 76, plus this piece right there, x plus 26, equals 360 degrees. So now we're doing algebra. I put all my x's together, 2x and x, 3x, 206 minus 76 plus 26. I'm going to do minus 76 and 26 first to get minus 50, so I get plus 156. All right, now it's a solved problem. I'm going to minus 156 from both sides. I get 3x equals, I got 204. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 3. I get x equals 68. So x equals 68. Now remember, I did my geometry, or I did my algebra. So I'm going to plug my answer, which is 68, back in for x. I'm going to make sure everything works. So 2 times 68 minus 76. So I'll do 2 times 68 minus 76. I end up with 60 degrees. Now I'm going to do 68 plus 26. I end up with 94. I don't forget the degree symbol. Now just to double check, I'm going to do 206 plus 94 plus 60, and it should equal 360, and it does. All right, so that's it for the first two. All right, next one. I have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. So the two parallel lines, right there and right there, those are the two parallel lines, which means this line right here, this is the transversal. So remember, the first letter, the first word, alternate, whether it's alternate or corresponding or same side, corresponding really doesn't affect it, but same side, that usually talks about how the relationship to the transversal. So I see 14x minus 2 and 13x plus 6. They are on opposite sides or alternate sides of the transversal. So I know it has to be either alternate exterior or alternate interior. The second one is going to talk about, so interior versus exterior is going to talk about in relationship to the parallel lines. So it's inside the parallel lines. So my geometry for this is going to be really simple. I'm going to say alternate interior angles are congruent. All right. So alternate interior angles are congruent. Now I'm going to use this idea, alternate interior angles are congruent. I'm going to say this piece equals this piece. So I'm going to say 14x minus 2 equals 13x plus 6. And now I'm just going to solve. I'm going to minus 13x from both sides. I end up with x minus 2 equals 6. And now I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So I get x equals 8. Once I get my answer, x equals 8, I'm going to take this 8, I'm going to plug it in right there and right there. So I'm going to do 14 times 8, then minus 2. So 14 times 8 minus 2, I got 110 degrees. So this is the, remember, in these problems, I'm looking for 3 different pieces. 110 degrees. 13 times 8 plus 6. 110 degrees. Good to go. All right. So the next one we're going to do, so these are on the same side of the, so once again, I already think two parallel lines cut by a transversal because I see all the parallel lines. Doesn't mean it has to be that, but it's likely. And then I see they're on the same side, and they're on the same side, and I'm going to focus on these two parallel lines. So I like that's a parallel line, that's a parallel line. I'm not even worried about, like, to be honest, I could just do this. I'm not even worried about that third parallel line. It doesn't even exist anymore. I just got rid of that third parallel line to make my, now look, I have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. I'm not even worried about this transversal right here. To be honest, I'm not even worried about it. So I just focus, I kind of like highlighted on that. Like, think about like when, like on a football game or something, they highlight just certain parts of it. They just kind of they only focus on like some of the coverage and stuff like that. That's kind of what we're doing here. So I'm going to say same side, and they're inside. So same side interior. So I'm going to say same side interior equals 180. So say I put equals 180. So that's going to say piece plus piece equals 180. So I'm going to say this piece plus this piece equals 180. So x plus 138 plus x plus 58 equals 180. And now we're just solving. X and x together make 2x. 138 and 58 is 196. Now, remember, we're just doing algebra, so I'm going to minus 196 from both sides. I end up with 2x equals negative 16. Divide both sides by 2. X equals negative 8. So now I'm going to plug it in. Like I said, I'm going to take 8, I'm going to plug it in. So negative 8 plus 58, so this is going to turn into 50 degrees. Negative 8 plus 138 is going to turn into 130 degrees. And me just thinking in my head, 130 plus 50 is 180, so it does work out. That's it for Firestarter 17. Alright guys, so let's go over Firestarter 18. So Firestarter 18, almost exact same concept as Firestarter 17. So this is reviewing our angle relationships. Remember, number one, as soon as I see these three parallel lines, remember, I'm not focusing on all these parallel lines. I'm just going to pick two of them. So I'm going to look at this guy right here and this guy right here, because those are the ones that have the letters touching them. And this is the transversal. All right. So I'm just kind of focusing on those ones. I see that the variables are on opposite sides. So, but as all the way, I'm already thinking it's going to be this. It doesn't mean it has to be. It still could be any of these. But I already think it's going to be one of these four right here. I see alternate, and then they're inside the two red lines, so that's why it's going to be alternate interior angles are congruent. So remember, the first thing I'm going to do my geometry. Alternate interior angles are congruent. All right. Now I'm going to do the algebra. So I'm going to actually make up an equation based off of what I just wrote. So I'm going to say piece equals piece because I put congruent. All right. Now we're going to solve. I'm going to put all my x's on one side. I get x minus 6 equals 0. And I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So I get x equals 6. Now I'm going to put that 6 in right there and right there. So I do 21 times 6 is 126 minus 6. So this left side right here is going to become 120 degrees. 20 times 6 is 120, so it's 120 degrees. Done. Good to go. 18, exact same concept. Now, once again, guys, I am not going to focus on, I am not worried about this. I am just going to focus on two of the lines. So once again, I'm going to focus on my two parallel lines. That's one of the parallel lines. That's one of the parallel lines. I'm not worried about this line right here, so I'll even erase it. I'm not worried about this because it's not even part of my variables aren't touching it. I'm not worried about this guy either because it's not really affected by it. So now that makes it a little bit easier for me to understand what my concept is. My concept is alternate interior angles because they're on the same side. So remember, alternate interior angles are congruent. Now I say this piece equals this piece. So I say 8x plus 10 equals 10x minus 10. I'm going to move my x's to I like to put all my x's on the bigger side. So 10x is a little bit bigger. So I'm going to minus 8x from both sides. I end up with 10 equals 2x minus 10. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. So I get 20 equals 2x. Divide by 2 on both sides. X equals 10. Now remember, I got to plug that 10 in. So I'm going to put 10 in right there. So 8 times 10 is 80 plus 10, so 90 degrees right there. 10 times 10 is 100 minus 10, so that's going to be 90 degrees. They're the same, means I did it correctly. That's it.